The number 1 overall pick in the draft, Caleb Williams, is a Chicago Bear. And Bears fans, let's hope he is solid because it has been a long time since the Chicago Bears have had a good franchise quarterback. I guess if you want to count Jay Cutler, but he wasn't really the greatest. But he did have a few solid years. Anyway, we're going to be doing a career simulation. This will probably be one of my last videos on Madden 24. It's definitely at least my second to last. And how we do career sims here is I'm a random team in the division. I don't affect it at all. I try my best not to affect it. Everything's on auto, so even the team in the division doesn't get affected. And let's go ahead and look at the roster here. We normally check every year in the first 3 to 4 years, and then after that we go every few years just so you guys don't get bored to death. He is throwing the ball to some good names. Quinyon Allen, DJ Moore, and obviously the receiver out of Washington they just drafted, Romeo Odunze. And as you see right here, a lot of people, their O-line was bad. It was, but I think they have made some improvements. I like their left guard, Tevin Jenkins. I think he's underrated, to be honest. And I believe they drafted a right tackle. Yeah, they did. And he's a 77 overall. So, I mean, it's not a great team, but they definitely have some building blocks. Let's go ahead. In the first year of Caleb Williams, they are 7-10. So they don't make playoffs quite yet. I definitely feel like they'll make playoffs. So they're 24th overall in the NFL. Not great, obviously. So 7-10, not even close to a winning record. They weren't going 500. Let's go check Caleb Williams' stats out, though, to see how good of a rookie year he did. 3,059 passing yards, 29 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That's a pretty solid rookie year. That is really solid. Normally, the cap for a good amount of passing touchdowns, I say, is 30. If you have under 30, that's a little low, I believe, in my personal opinion. But he was only one off, and he had a very low amount of interceptions, only 8 interceptions. Let's go and check the receiving. I'm not going to be checking the receiving every year, but I'm just interested to see how everyone did. Quinyon Allen, 867 yards, 11 receiving touchdowns. Gerald Everett out of nowhere, second in the team in receiving. Romeo Odunze, 471 yards, 8 receiving touchdowns, so he did pretty solid. In the first year, the Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills. Micah Parsons was Super Bowl MVP, but I mainly wanted to show this clip to you guys because look at the Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's Caleb Williams. So, all right, in this first season, he has already got something to add to his trophy case. Caleb Williams is Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year is Jason Newton. I don't even really know that guy that well. I mean, I've heard the name, obviously, but definitely not my pick, I would have thought, for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Anyway, second year, the Chicago Bears, they go 6-11, so they're one game worse than what they even did last year. So as they were 7-10 last year, now they're 6-11. They're falling backwards, and they need to get going before Quinyon Allen retires or leaves because he's not the youngest. He's not super old, but he's not the youngest. Low amount of passing yards right there, 2,962. That is a low amount of passing yards. Low amount of passing touchdowns, too, 23. It's a low amount of interceptions, though, as well. So, not a horrible year, but not really crazy year. Maybe just a little bit of a sophomore slump, we can just go ahead and say. It's a little bit of a sophomore slump. He wasn't throwing around the ball as much. And right here, in the third year, the Chicago Bears do make playoffs, and they had a first-round bye. They went 12-5, but they make it all the way to the NFC Championship and lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the year is 2025, and the Chicago Bears are losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers only by 3 points. They were technically 4 points away from making a Super Bowl appearance, so that's pretty crazy to think about. Caleb Williams, pretty solid year right here. Well, actually, I think I spoke too soon. I wouldn't say a solid year. It actually looks pretty mid. 22 passing touchdowns, 13 interceptions. That is the highest amount of interceptions we've ever seen from him and the lowest amount of passing touchdowns. Only 22 passing touchdowns. That's not good. Let's go and check his rushing ability since we haven't been really keeping up with that. 858 yards and 7 rushing touchdowns. Okay, so he is rushing the ball a good amount right there. So I guess that does make up for the weak amount of passing touchdowns. And right after making the NFC Championship, they only finished 8-9 and missed playoffs. So they did a 180 there. I mean, they were They were close to being in the Super Bowl, and now they're not even making a wild card spot. They don't even finish 500. They got a winning percentage of .471. Caleb Williams, this is a pretty solid year right here. Okay, he's starting to get back on track. Doesn't have 3,000 passing yards, but I'm going to assume he ran a lot. 28 passing touchdowns. Thought I said 29 for a second, but 28 and 6 interceptions, that is solid right there. That's a good ratio. Caleb Williams, he also had 703 yards rushing as well. Okay, so that is a good year. I think that's one of his better years. And they make the NFC Championship again in 2030 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again, and they lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers again. So they are starting to become a little bit of a playoff rivalry right there. As you see right there, they beat the Packers somehow. We all know the Packers normally own the Bears. Then they beat the Panthers, but they fell to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Caleb Williams' stats was 3,267 yards. So that's a good year. 29 passing touchdowns. Again, he really hasn't hit that mark of 30 passing touchdowns, but normally his interceptions are low. Only 4 interceptions. That's really good. 3 rushing touchdowns. He was the leading rusher on the team with 166 yards. That is concerning. They did not run the ball that much. And now we skip 3 years down the future, 2033, and they lose to the Dallas Cowboys. They get shut out. That is not a good look right there. Getting shut out in the playoffs is never a good look. And the number 1 seed Dallas Cowboys make them lose 35-0. I think I'm going to make a prediction here. I think Caleb Williams is going to switch teams soon. Let's go and check his stats, though. Only 2 interceptions. Oh, my goodness. This guy is efficient with the football. 23 passing touchdowns, which, again, is on the lower side. But only 2 interceptions. That is an amazing ratio. That is a low amount of passing yards, though. But he is more of a dual threat quarterback, and we have established that. As you can see right there, he has 672 yards. Looks like we got a new running back. I don't see DeAndre Swift anymore. I mean, DeAndre Swift's probably retired around this, around 2030 or 2035, I believe, the year. So Caleb Williams, anyway, he had 5 rushing touchdowns that year, and the Bears are back to 7-10. So it seems like when they have a little bit of playoff success, I mean, there was no success there. They just got shut out. But anytime they make a playoff appearance, at least you could say, they fall back down to earth. So only 7-10. And you see right there, the Broncos and the Raiders right behind them. And Joe Burrow is the starting quarterback. So looks like Caleb Williams has switched teams, and Joe Burrow, let's just go check his stats for the fun of it, because Joe Burrow's got to be at least 38 right now. 18 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I mean, that's not horrible stats. There's not much more you can expect for a 39-year-old man, however old he is. Caleb Williams, I think that's a career high in passing yards right there, and he's a 49er. So Caleb Williams is a 49er with 14 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That is not a good ratio, but it's a good amount of passing yards. And guys, 49ers definitely did not make playoffs. I think they went 4-12. So yeah, 49ers did not do too hot. And now I know you're thinking, oh, you're just following Joe Burrow around. No, I'm not. Caleb Williams, he is now a 3rd string for the Indianapolis Colts. So he is starting to regress a lot. And Joe Burrow just likes taking starting jobs from him. Joe Burrow, I don't know. He just is like, goes wherever Caleb Williams goes and just becomes a starter. And obviously, Caleb Williams, I don't believe he got any playing time in Indianapolis, and he retires. So the career sim is done. He is hanging the cleats up. He says, I've had my career. So let's go ahead and see. The main thing of these career sims is we see if they're a Hall of Famer or if they just had a good career, how much they benefited the team they drafted and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and take an overall look at Caleb Williams' stats. So San Francisco, 14 passing touchdowns and 9 interceptions, not really great there. His last year in Chicago, he only had 1 passing touchdown, 0 interceptions. Then the year before that, 23 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Then 18 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 23 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. 25 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 26 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 3,180 yards, 2,988 yards, with 28 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So yes, You guys get the gist, the main thing. He was a pretty good player. He got pretty good stats, 4 rushing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 12 in 2033, 5 rushing touchdowns, 11 rushing, followed by only 3. But as you can see right here, he was a very good player. He put up good stats, definitely good stats, a low amount of interceptions. I think maybe in his career he might have finished with less than 100, which is pretty good considering how long he was in the league. I see his awards right here. He got, believe it or not, no All-Pros, no MVPs, no, not even Pro Bowls. He just had that Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I didn't really believe it. I kept looking around, and yeah, he didn't win anything. Surprisingly, he only got the Offensive Rookie of the Year. He definitely deserved that Offensive Rookie of the Year, I think. His stats look pretty good. But I am a little shocked he didn't get like a single Pro Bowl selection. As you can see, the Malik Nabers career simulation that we did on the channel, I'll go ahead and put the link in the description for that one. But he made Pro Bowls, so it would pop up if he made a Pro Bowl. So yeah, I guess Caleb Williams. So overall, his career in an overview in Madden's eyes is that he'll be good. He'll get a couple playoff appearances, but nothing special. Definitely not number 1 overall pick worthy, but probably a late first round quarterback or mid first round quarterback. But you got to take chances, and the Chicago Bears drafted Caleb Williams, and we'll go ahead and see how he does in real life. If you are interested in that Malik Nabers video that I mentioned, and we also did a career simulation of Quinyon Mitchell, first round pick from the Philadelphia Eagles. So if you guys are interested in those two, I'll go ahead. The links will be in the description for those. Those are the other 2 Madden 24 career sims we're doing. If you guys are interested in Madden 25 coming out, I know I'm sure excited. And for the NFL football to come back, we're finally going to have football back. I'm so excited for that as well. Make sure to like and subscribe because we got all the content you need for all football related stuff.